Hey, I'm frustrated because I've made this video like 16,000 times. I'm still learning. Hopefully this is the one that works out. It's zero point 0.1 video 2, and beauty will save the world is our topic. The objective for this video and the activity that you do next, students will be able to form their own reason for taking IB English HL2. So here we go. Beauty Will Save the World is a speech given by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, a Russian author, in 1970 when he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. When authors receive this prize, it's for a life's group of works. So it was for, everything he'd written at that time. He was already a very famous author who had written many famous books. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him in a sec. But I just wanted to mention these pieces that I put in the excerpt of the Nobel speech. These are just a couple of pieces of art that have been meaningful to me. Georgia O'Keeffe's piece that I've included in there is a painting of a church in New Mexico, and it's made of adobe, so it looks different from probably most of the churches that you know of, but I just think it's such a beautiful piece, and I don't even know if I can explain why. I just think it's beautiful. I think this woman praying is beautiful too. This is a Kara Walker piece. If you're familiar with her, her pieces, she's not related to the Walker Museum. It's just a coincidence with her last name, but a lot of her pieces have been displayed there. And she does silhouettes. And she's an African-American artist. So you can look up both of these artists and find out more information about them if either piece resonates with you at all. All right, so a little bit more about, well, first of all, let's talk about the question that is guiding us right now. Why take IB English HL2 is what I want you to have in the back of your mind. I think it's important for you to answer this question, for you to be in this class intentionally. Not just because somebody put you here or somebody wanted you here, but I want you to come up with your own reasons for why you're taking the class. Because sometimes I think it might get hard, and it'll be good for you to hold on to those reasons. Behind that question, I think, is this question of why is art important to study? Of course, when we talk about art, we normally think of visual art, right? Like the pieces I just shared with you are in frames hanging on walls. But English deals with art as well, literary art. And so why read literature? Those are some other questions that should be kind of in the back of your mind as we go through this video and as you read the excerpt from Solzhenitsyn. Solzhenitsyn, here he is, not a very happy dude. Well, he didn't have a lot of reason to be happy. He was a Russian novelist and historian, pretty serious guy, lived 1918 to 2008. And check out what he did in his life. First of all, he's an author of major works of fiction, including the Gulag Archipelago, which is his best known work about, it's really historical fiction, showing the vast system of prisoner labor camps in the Soviet Union that started after World War II. It didn't start after World War II. It grew bigger after World War II. He was actually in one of these prison camps. He fought for Stalin in World War II and rose to the ranks of captain, and so was fairly successful, but then he criticized Stalin in a letter, and somebody must have snitched on him, and he ended up spending almost a decade in one of these labor camps because of that letter criticizing Stalin. And then he was exiled for 3 years. He finally came back. Things got a little bit easier in the former Soviet Union in the 1960s, and he published One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, which was about his years in the labor camp, which were pretty stark. And so he became famous with the publication of this book, but that didn't last long. Pretty soon he was in hot water again. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1970, and he decided he wasn't going to go and give a speech because he was worried he wouldn't be let back into the Soviet Union if he did. Well, turns out he didn't even need to leave in order to be exiled. He was exiled again, just for who knows what, after he won the Nobel Prize. And so he spent much of his life living in exile during that communist rule. He didn't return to the former Soviet Union, to Russia, until 1994, and his citizenship was finally restored. And then he passed away in 2008. Now, he mentions another author, Fyodor Dostoevsky, who is another Russian author. He's the one who wrote Crime and Punishment and Brothers Karamazov and some of those really famous books. He is considered to be one of the most important novelists ever. So just to give you a little bit of context there as well. One more piece of context before we get to the passage about the Trinity. He mentions the Trinity of truth, goodness, and beauty a couple of times in the article. And this has to do with ideas in Western philosophy about the values of humanity. And at one point they were thought to be in 3 different branches, and that these values were going to sort of save humankind from extinction, or from, another terrible, after the Roman Empire fell, something like that again. And so he talks about these 3 branches, and he talks about art as being kind of this branch of beauty. And so look at how those 3 things sort of work together and how they also contrast. Is it true? Are these the 3 key values of humankind, do you think? Do we exist and become better people because of trying to search for truth, goodness, and that aesthetic perfection, that beauty that we can find in the world? And if so, what the heck is beauty doing in there? How is it making us better? All right, so if you want to read it on your own, you can go and do that right now. You could read it with a classmate if you want to. You can stay here and listen to me read it. I want you to find 5 of Solzhenitsyn's best reasons for studying art as you read. And so the question really is, what is it that makes art unique from other academic pursuits? Why is it important? And hopefully this will inform that question, why are you taking this class as well? All right, so let's take a look at the article here. And I will go ahead and read it to you. Beauty Will Save the World by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Archaeologists have not yet discovered any stage of human existence without art. Even in the half-light before the dawn of humanity, we received this gift from hands we did not manage to discern. Nor have we managed to ask, why was this gift given to us, and what are we to do with it? And all those prophets, let me see if I can fix what we're looking at here. I guess I'm going to stop trying to mess with it. Sorry, I'm so sorry. And all those prophets who are predicting that art is disintegrating, that it has used up all its forms, that it is dying, are mistaken. We are the ones who shall die, and art will remain. The question is whether before we perish, we shall understand all its aspects and all its ends. Not all can be given names. Some of them go beyond words. Art opens even the chilled, darkened heart to high spiritual experience. Through the instrumentality of art, we are sometimes sent, vaguely, briefly, insights which logical processes of thought cannot attain. Like the tiny mirror of the fairy tale, you look into it and see not yourself, but for one fleeting moment, the unattainable, to which you cannot leap or fly, and the heart aches. Dostoevsky once let drop the enigmatic phrase, "Beauty will save the world." What does this mean? For a long time, it used to seem to me that this was a mere phrase. Just how could such a thing be possible? When had it ever happened in the bloodthirsty course of history that beauty had saved anyone from anything? Beauty had provided embellishment, certainly, given uplift, but whom had it ever saved? However, there is a special quality in the essence of beauty, a special quality in the status of art. The conviction carried by a genuine work of art is absolutely indisputable and tames even the strongly opposed heart. One can construct a political speech, an assertive journalistic polemic, a program for organizing society, a philosophical system, so that in appearance it is smooth, well structured, and yet it is built upon a mistake, a lie. And the hidden element, the distortion, will not immediately become visible. And a speech or a journalistic essay or a program in rebuttal or a different philosophical structure can be counterposed to the first, and it will seem just as well constructed and as smooth, and everything will seem to fit. And therefore one has faith in them, yet one has no faith. It is vain to affirm that which the heart does not confirm. In contrast, a work of art bears within itself its own confirmation. Concepts which are manufactured out of whole cloth or overstrained will not stand up to being tested in images, will somehow fall apart and turn out to be sickly and pallid and convincing to no one. Works steeped in truth and presenting it to us vividly alive will take hold of us, will attract us to themselves with great power, and no one ever, even in a later age, will presume to negate them. And so perhaps that old trinity of truth and good and beauty is not just the formal outworn formula it used to seem to us during our heady materialistic youth. If the crests of these three trees join together, as the investigators and explorers used to affirm, and if the two obvious, two straight branches of truth and good are crushed or amputated and cannot reach the light, yet perhaps the whimsical, unpredictable, unexpected branches of beauty will make their way through and soar up to that very place, and in this way perform the work of all three. And in that case, it was not a slip of the tongue for Dostoevsky to say that beauty will save the world, but a prophecy. After all, he was given the gift of seeing much. He was extraordinarily illumined, and consequently, perhaps art, literature, can in actual fact help the world of today. Go back to the article, find the 5 best reasons art is special and should be studied. Good luck as you work.